am. I am an animal right now. Not even going to dispute it. Yeah, kicking things off straight away. Almost getting into it right now. We've got a really exciting match coming up.
Oh yeah, we've been looking forward to it all week. It is going to be Team Liquid versus...
And they docked his mentality. Sorry to interrupt you, but they docked his mentality. What happened? This is what I'm most interested in.
What happened recently? I mean, am I crazy? No. Wait,
yes,
what happened? Who knocked him? Who knocked him out?
Well, it's okay to lose a game to someone, but something must have happened. There must be a story behind the mentality getting docked. Like, they're watching everything. Were they watching the Home Story Cup and they were like,
Yeah.
I don't see him making pizza after he got knocked out. Interesting.
Oh my god, you know what it was? Yeah, that's what I mean. that's why I was really confused. I'm like, he just won Home Story Cup. He didn't lose. He didn't lose to anyone. But here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the Brazilian Terran player. It is Elazer for Team Liquid.
And in the top right-hand corner of the map, Home Story Cup champion, it is Reynor. Spoiler alert.
True. So, yeah, of course, the most recent Premier Tournament champion, of course, has to be Dr. Points, and Diego is coming in with a bit of a cheeky 2-rax. Let's go.
Okay, I mean, we have been seeing this making a bit of a comeback lately. I actually haven't seen a 2-rax in a while. I've been seeing a lot of 3-rax, but I feel like you're not really allowed to 3-rax if you don't 2-rax sometimes, so... this is going to be interesting, and I wonder if Reynor as well is going to read it as a 3-rax.
Yeah, we'll see how he does react to this. We'll see how he does respond. I actually casted the GSL qualifiers recently, a couple of days ago, and there was a lot of this in the qualifiers. It was a surprising amount.
It happens a lot on this map. I'm not really sure why, but I actually see proxy racks a lot on this map. I guess because it's short and there's no ramp.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess, you know, that may just be enough of an advantage to do it on, as Reynor is going to be scouting with his Overlord, doesn't come across the proxy, and as you mentioned earlier, it can sometimes be difficult to distinguish between the proxy 2-rax and the proxy 3-rax, just because you can hide the SCVs, as they have now been spotted, and Reynor is going to be able to respond.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that the Raxes did avoid the Overlord, but the SCV gets spotted just in time. If that hadn't been spotted, I mean, these bunkers could have gone down almost the whole way before they were responded to. Reynor's a little bit stuck trying to work out how to respond to this. We see him throwing down a spine, which is pretty unusual when it's a 2-rax, so he might be reading this as a 3-rax.
Yeah, I mean, he did deny the initial bunker, which is good. There's a lot of lost mining time already. As you were saying, this is quite a lot invested here to deny this. And we'll see how much more damage Kelazhur can get done, as he's already throwing down his factory back at home.
Yeah, this is looking reasonably good for Kelazhur so far. I mean, no deciding fights have happened quite yet, but Reynor having to commit now as the bunker is coming up.
There was so much lost mine time by all these drones. They're going to get a pseudo-surround. 2 Marines are going to get caught out, but it looks like the reinforcements are going to be able to clean up the rest of these lings.
Great surround. I don't think Reynor actually lost that. Reynor lost 1 drone. That is amazing for him. I mean, he kind of loses a 2nd drone. We could almost call it a 3rd drone as well with the spine, but I still think that he comes out of this marginally ahead.
Yeah, exactly. He's able to preserve his worker count overall, maintain his lead, maintain his base, and this CC on the low ground may even be cancelled as well, as the Lings do immediately go across the map.
Oh yeah, that's actually really rough. I mean, these Marines will eventually get back here in time to clean this up, but this is not a delay you need. And I mean, losing another SCV when you already didn't really get enough damage. Oh, and the Ling gets into it, spots that it's going to be a starport rather than a 3cc. So Reynor getting even more information that he shouldn't really be able to get at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of a blunder there from Kelazhur, allowing that Ling passed into the main base, and now Reynor has that much more information. Now he knows that he can't cut as many corners, or he should be getting ready for eventually something in the skies, as actually Reynor, he throws down a very fast Roach Warren.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, the most standard response, and it is the one that Kelazhur is doing, to come out of a 2-rax is for a 4 Hellion drop. And it's nice that he gets to see the early starport because he knows that kind of thing's coming. And I think a Roach Warren with those roaches coming out, probably just in time, should be perfect for holding this.
Yeah, exactly, as we do have our third base on the way as well. There's that medevac, as you were saying, the Hellions are getting ready for their eventual drop. The Hellions, of course, being spotted by these Lings, and Reynor should be able to piece a lot of this together. 6 roaches, 7 roaches even are on the way, and they should be in position, hopefully, for this drop.
Yeah, okay, so behind this, Kelazhur also going to be getting Stim, throwing down an extra tech lab for some early tanks, so he will be at least safe for these roaches, but my worry for him is that if Reynor goes into 1-1 roach from here, he has a very awkward setup for getting up enough marine tank to deal with that.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll see if that does come to pass. Before that happens, the Hellions, they do dive into the main base. The roaches were not in position, by the way. They were at the natural instead, so a decent amount of damage is being done, and it looks like the medevac does escape, and the roaches, they were out of position because he's going for a counterattack.
Yeah, roaches coming across the map. We didn't get that tank started up, so we're going to be losing quite a bit defending these roaches, and Reynor just continuing to get further ahead. We can see he's droning pretty hard behind this and almost equalizing the damage at that.
Yeah, exactly. Just forcing more or less mining time, trading with the army before that tank comes out. All good moments here for Reynor. And Kelazhur isn't going to take this line down, though. He's still being quite active with these Hellions. He's still looking for a way and doesn't get into the mineral line, but again, he's at least still active with these units.
Yeah, at least third gas and and an eBay going down as well kind of indicates to me that he does want to be quite aggressive coming out of this, but it's going to be hard to make that work playing into roaches. I mean, he has seen all the roaches that are present now, so I'm kind of curious how he's going to approach this. He should be able to get a bit of a double drop going, but I just don't really see this getting too much traction.
Yeah, I can see it like clearing up creep, and much more than that, we'll see as the second medevac does come out, and the double drop is going to be zooming across the map as we speak. Stim is also done as well, so there's quite a bit of firepower there in that drop. And again, a lot of this is reliant, or Kelazhur is relying a lot on these drops to get damage done.
Yeah, so there we go. Double drop gets sent out. We still don't really have a wall at the front either. We're slowly building up that tank count, which is definitely going to help if we get into a 1-1 roach all in later on, which it is kind of looking like that's what it's going to be. But yeah, I don't really know. I mean, Reynor, he might be of the school of Serral, where he just wants to be safe and go into a late game. But no, we do see range getting started up, which indicates that it is going to be a roach all in.
How dare you compare Serral to Reynor? As we do have 1-1 on the way, as you're saying, there's roach speed as well. So yeah, going to be a bit of a crisp timing here for Reynor, whether it's 1-1 or even 2-2 after that as well. It's going to be, I guess we're going to be looking at the kind of tank positioning that Kelazhur has set up when he does eventually try to expand and take that third base, to see if he is going to be ready for that eventual roach assault.
Yeah, we're going to say as well, his supply is so low right now, just because that Turax didn't get too much done. You kind of do rely a little bit more on momentum coming out of a build like that, and he's just, yeah, as a result, really far behind on his progress. And I think the Roach All-In's a fantastic choice by Reynor for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not staying on this tech either. We have an infestation bit on the way, so we can work towards something like infestors or even into a hive as well, so we can just tech up even further, maybe even into lurker play in case this doesn't work out. Meanwhile, there are those infestors just to make sure he's safe against any kind of bio push.
To infestors, he is playing like Serral.
That's why he won, Papi. That's why he's the Home Story Cup champion.
Yeah, well, he played better than Serral.
True. I mean, he ZVZ'd. I mean, it was a ZVZ. I mean, what can you expect?
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do, mate? It's
the GOAT, but you know, you can't be good at all matchups.
It's unwinnable, Papi, unwinnable. As the Marines are here, looking to buy some time, hopefully forcing Reynor to turn back around again. 1-1 still on the horizon. Yeah, he is taking up even further. Hydrogen is on the way. I was, in a way, almost jokingly saying lurkers, but yeah, lurkers, they are a viable transition here for Reynor if he wants the game to go on longer.
Yeah, I agree. Lurkers are definitely a joke, but they remain in the game in their current state. It's okay. We've learned to live with it.
That's what happens when Asher gets back to laddering. God damn it.
I was always laddering.
True. Oh my god. Also, I realized why they doxed Reynor's mentality a little bit.
What?
He has no cam.
That's why. maybe Diego's playing it live, but Reynor's playing it from replay.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He's playing against like the. I've always wondered if they could do this. You know how in car racing
Ghost?
games, if
Yep,
you do,
yep.
you do like a ghost lap and you have your best lap.
Mhm.
I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah,
really make any sense. But like, if AI got really good, maybe you could do it.
Yeah. Check it out, Stormgate. Something to look into as we do see the army coming in. Oh my god, the fungal is insane on the army of Kelazhur.
Yeah, the 3-point touchdown from downtown. Every single Marine gets fungled, so that's that money shot you're looking for if you're a Zerg. That's what you like to see.
The 3-point hole-in-one that we love to see here in the NHL. As we just see Lings rushing on forward as well. There isn't quite a lot to protect these tanks, so they are all going to be going down one after the other. Things snowballing so heavily out of control. GG gets called, and Reynor will take game number 1.
GG, and Reynor pops off. You love to see it.
Yeah. I mean, Reynor, he is known as one of the more expressive players out there, and we clearly got to see that in that celebration. Oh, there you go.
Oh, Kelazhur's got the best. I love his portrait.
Oh yeah. He's what would you call that? Yeah. It's beautiful.
Cute. That's what I call it. A little cute.
Yeah, that could be you if you wore your goddamn glasses. Shaking my head.
That could be as good as Kelazhur.
Exactly, that's all you're missing, puppy. That's all you're missing. As we have our map of choice, and Kelazhur, he's opting to go for Neo-Humanity instead.
Okay. This is really interesting. I'm surprised to see him do that, especially after Reynor played the way that he did on that last map, because I think the way that he played that map is even better on Neo-Humanity. I mean, I don't expect Kelazhur to be going for proxy racks on this map or anything like that, but I'm a little bit concerned that he's doing this because he wants to play Turtle Mech.
Yeah. I 100% agree with what you're saying. We have seen Kelazhur whip out the mech before, and a map like Neo-Humanity is a good map for it, and I'm sure Reynor is aware of that as well. And as you were kind of alluding to, Reynor isn't necessarily the kind of player to just take things slow and steady and go into the late game. Like, we saw him like having transitions available to him in the last game, sure, but he still hit his 1-1 timing. And something like a roach push, something like a very committed push to end the game before it gets to that split map scenario is probably something that Reynor is looking to do on Neo-Humanity.
Did you watch much of Home Story Cup though? Reynor was saying that he's going into his macro god era.
Oh. I'll have to see it to believe it.
I think it's more against Protoss, but he was saying that, there was rumors going around that his late game's not so good.
Yeah.
So he's going into his late game god, turtle, sit there, do nothing era.
So brave. So very brave. Unironically. I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious if that's what's going to happen here. Is he willing to do that against Kelazhur as well in ZVT against Mech? Because if he is, then, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah, something might be wrong there. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner of the map, it is Kelazhur for Team Liquid.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Italian Zerg player for Team Basilisk. It is Reynor.
Right, well, we didn't get time to exchange pleasantries because there was a proxy racks before, but how many hours ago did you wake up, Vlad?
You didn't need to talk about it, okay? So ever since Home Story Cup, so for Home Story Cup, by the time Home Story Cup started, I actually did fix my sleep schedule. I was waking up at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, let's go. And then it's like, oh, it's Home Story Cup day.
That's like when Home Story Cup ends.
Yeah. Exactly. And to be fair, I didn't actually get to watch too much Home Story Cup day 1, day 2 because I was actually casting. We were casting like OC King of the Hill and all this stuff. But my sleep schedule was still ruined though. I was still tuning in to the tail end of it, and for the majority of this week, I was going to bed at like 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I would wake up. Yeah, but I would wake up at like 10 a.m. Every day. So I'd only get 4 hours or 5. Yeah,
Yeah,
4 or
yeah.
5 hours
No,
sleep.
I've been on that for a while.
You're like, that's me, puppy. That's me. Oh, we're twins.
It feels pretty bad, huh?
It does. It feels really bad. So then I would wake up at like 9 or 10 a.m. I'd get work done in the morning. I'd cast East Olympic Cup Asia. Oh, sorry, East Olympic Cup Americas, as we have a little bit of latency coming in. And then I would end up passing out at like 1 or 2 p.m. 1 or 2 p.m. and I'd like nap until like 5 or 6. So that's where I would get my other like 4 hours sleep basically. That's how I've been operating for the past almost week. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I just don't get the other 4 or 5 hours.
You're
That's
like,
what I use coffee for that.
You're like, I feel bad and I like it. I just feel bad for the rest of the day. It's beautiful. Oh,
Well, you just play StarCraft and then you're like, well, I feel bad anyway. I might as well add to my woes.
True. That makes sense. I should take advantage of how awful I feel and just play StarCraft anyway. Yeah.
You won't even remember. Like the next day, you won't remember what happened. You'll just be like, oh, I have less MMR than yesterday.
Oh god, but yeah, that's been my life ever since Home Story Cup, and I've yet to fix that.
So what did you do this morning?
I woke up at like 9:30 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
I edited some VODs. Yeah, I ate some breakfast. Had a shower. Yeah, true. Unironically true. I'm like,
okay.
And yeah. That's what I did until like 1 p.m. and then I went back to bed.
To sleep.
Yeah.
What does that decision look like when you get to 1 o'clock and you're just like, I feel a bit tired. Let's just like immediately go to sleep.
I'm like, you know what? I've done enough. I've edited enough. I've worked on like the YouTube and all that stuff. I'm good. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah. That sounds pretty good. I wish I could do that.
Oh god.
I think I have too much coffee to be able to sleep in the middle of the day, but it sounds nice.
That's fair. Like I guess maybe the reason why I can do that is I don't drink coffee. I don't. It's not really a thing. I only drink coffee if I need to like stay up.
Oh, so you just drink coffee at like midnight and then you wonder why you can't get to sleep at 6 a.m.
Well, like, I drink coffee if I have to, like, if I have like an OCK the Hill cast or like, Home Story Cup.
If you have to stay up till 3 o'clock for casting, might as well not sleep.
Exactly.
That's what you got your dare ice coffee for.
Yeah. I got to keep the energy up, Bappy. I got to keep it up. Yeah.
Speaking of
it's
keeping your energy up. Yeah. That's an extra factory.
Yeah, meanwhile, not too much has been going on in the game itself. We had a 1-on-1 opener. We do see the digital factories. Meanwhile, Reynor also threw down his safety. Roach one as well, accurately identifying what he's up against. And I'm worried because he's knocking down the towers back.
Yeah, so Reynor went pull first into a fast 3-hatch, which is very safe. And he made a bunch of roaches, which is also very safe. So everything that he's doing is kind of telling me that he just wants to not take any damage and get to a late game. And everything that Diego's doing is kind of telling me that he wants to just play some mech and get to a late game. So yeah, that Rax is airborne. I know you love to see that.
Up in the air. Because he just doesn't care.
He just doesn't care about your mental health.
He doesn't. No one. Not his opponents, not mine, not his own. He's an animal.
There we go. So we actually do see Magfield started up. I have been seeing Kelazhur been doing this quite a lot, whether it be versus Lambo, versus Scarlet. He is very good at this more active style. I think a lot of traditionally bio players have been a bit more drawn to this style, just because with the Cyclones, with the Banshees, you can be quite active on the map and you can go for that more traditional split pushing style. So I think it's a good fit for players like Kelazhur, for players like Clem, or even like a Maru that don't necessarily feel like going full turtle all the time, but want to play a bit more of an active harassing style.
Well, that's what I love about mech nowadays, and I didn't stutter my words. I said I love it. Is that we don't actually get to see that like straight up turtle mech too often. It happens from time to time, but not as frequently as it otherwise used to when it comes to mech in general. It feels like this banshee like battle mech style of mech has become a little bit more popular, a little bit more prominent, and I'm happy to say that. You know, it is a little bit more active. It is a little bit more engaging and enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, 100%. That being said, we don't see it that much on this map in particular, and I think there are reasons for that. Just because the bases they're pretty close to each other, the rotations are short, the attacking angles are quite narrow as well. So I don't think it really suits this style that well, to be honest. But we'll see what Kelazhur is able to do here.
Yeah, we see this on some of the other larger maps instead, you know, whether it's your Ancients or your Altitudes even. As you were saying, like, this map is just so defensive and it can be so difficult to find damage with this mobile army. On top of that, the rocks are being knocked down, and at a certain point, Reynor is going to be hitting those upgrades. He can himself also be quite active on the map as well. Doesn't take too long to counterattack here.
Yeah, I really don't like the look of this because we also see that he's got Dropper Lord starting up, so he's going to be bringing Queens over. This is another reason I don't like this on this map, is just because you're putting your tanks off for quite a while, and it's a very short rush distance, so you are very vulnerable to things like this just because you don't have room to kite with your Cyclones, and you can see it. The Roaches are already in the natural, and there's just nothing to stop them.
I mean, the army is being zoned away from the bases. The first tank already went down. The Roaches are diving into the main. A second tank does barely come out, but I think it's also being focused down. And Reynor, he's already broken the natural. He's soon about to break the main.
Yeah, I mean, this... I gotta be honest, this was not even close. Oh my goodness, the Biles knockout. 3 Banshees in one go, and this is just over. GG.
Hi, Papi. GG. Well played, Reynor. He just defies expectations. You know, we're like, is he gonna try and turtle as well? Is he gonna try and meet Kelazhur in the late game? I'm like, nah, mate, he'd be crazy if he does that. No, instead he hits a timing with +1 range, hits beautifully. And as you said, Kelazhur, he only was just barely getting his first tank out as the Roaches showed up, and it died instantly.
Yeah, I think the style that Kelazhur is playing, it relies really heavily on getting a bit of momentum on your side and keeping the Zerg pen back defending their bases, especially if you can get a split push going where you've got Banshees threatening a base on one side, you've got the Cyclones threatening a base on the other side. As soon as you don't have that pressure and the Zerg can come across the map, the Cyclones just don't perform anywhere near as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Cyclones are so heavily reliant on kiting, you know, on making use of the terrain as well, and the map Near Humanity is just working against the Cyclone in that respect because there's so much less room to maneuver around, and if the Cyclone backs off, well, suddenly you just expose a base, you expose your natural, you expose the third, and we saw that was the case there. Kelazhur, he was just completely out of position, couldn't really defend his bases at all.
It was kind of Diego to give Reynor a bit of a fighting chance. Accidentally gave him too much, but he'll rein it back next time. So
yeah. He'll get him in the ace match.
Unironically, I want it to happen. But that's enough of that. We do have a TVP coming up. We're going to have Clem vs Trigger, and this is a hard one for me to pick actually. My brain says 2-0 for Clem, but I actually have a good feeling about Trigger taking a game here.
That's interesting. My brain says that Trigger has to take a game, but I'm kind of curious about a couple of things. One, I believe Trigger is back in Canada. I believe he was spending quite some time in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. And after Home Story Cup, I think he did fly back home. But I'm brought back to 2 weeks ago. Clem did play a TVP against a Dragon Kaizi Gaming, and he played against Jeshi. And I don't think we casted that together. I think I may have solo. Yeah, I think I either solo casted or I casted with Kuro. But Jeshi did surprisingly well. He ended up going 1-1 with Clem. He almost 2-0'd. He straight up almost 2-0'd Clem. He was in such a solid lead. It was on Gressvan, and then it looked like he got a little bit too excited, and he kept overextending and just taking bad fight after bad fight after bad fight, and then he lost the game. But yeah, like I don't know. I've seen Clem sometimes struggle a little bit in TVP, especially against things like Phoenix Colossus and stuff like that. It's I don't know. Maybe it's just recency bias from my side.
You had me at Protoss. I heard all I needed to hear.
Okay.
End
You're
of
like,
story.
you're like, true, Poppy. TVP unwinnable. Oh, okay.
Like Protoss, anything can happen. You know, the bigger the skill difference, the more likely it is for the Protoss to win.
The bigger the skill difference, the harder it is for the Terran.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. There you go.
I agree, lad. So best.
Oh my god. So that may actually work against Trigger then, because I would say that this is an unflattering score, 67.
Yeah, Trigger's better than that at the moment.
Yeah.
Just straight up, he's been playing really well lately, especially when he was at Roddy's house. Had that ping, like had the better ping to Europe. I think he reached 6.7 actually. Kind of funny. On the EU ladder, which just shows, you know, that NA players are actually better than EU players. It's just the ping.
Oh yeah. I think everyone knew that. I mean, you know,
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, Maples is better than Clem.
I mean, Trigger's like 6'3", 6'4" on the NA ladder, so 6'7" on EU without ping. That kind of, that works out. That adds up.
It tracks. It definitely does. So, he's also been getting really good results in tournaments as well. Recently, he was able to bring down Gumiho in ESL Cup Americas. I think he also took down Byun as well. I don't think he took down Kyor, but I think he took down the other Korean Terrans. And it's impressive stuff.
If I'm not mistaken, Trigger actually has a pretty good track record against Byun, which is crazy. That's very impressive.
Oh yeah, it really is. And I'm not too far into the Trigger hype train where I favor him. I did end up predicting I predicted 1-1 here for this series. Okay. But yeah, I don't think Clem is like the overwhelming favorite to the point where I'm confident in a 2-0 in his favor.
Yeah, something I didn't really consider is we have seen Clem underperform sometimes in these team leagues lately. I do feel like in general Clem is known to be a little bit on the inconsistent side. I think that's quite common as well for players like him and Byun, who are very heavily micro focused, where because you're playing on such a nice edge, because you rely so much on speed and confidence, you can have days where you're not really feeling it and your play is going to be not quite as strong as usual, just because you're not like a Mario or something where like you have this giant depth of strategic wisdom where if you're feeling a little bit slow one day, you can just drag it into a campy late game and you know exactly what to do to be able to win it, even if your early game goes badly. I feel like Clem really does, not that he can't do that, but he does rely on momentum.
Yeah, I was about to echo that as well, that he does feel like a little bit more of a momentum-based player. We've seen him sometimes get, like, his emotions get the better of him at times, you know, smudging a little bit too. I mean, he's a Terran player, so I mean,
yeah, of course,
the smudge. Yeah, it happens to everyone, definitely.
Mara would be like that too, except she just doesn't lose.
True. That's the thing. He harnesses his inner darkness, and sometimes his opponent doesn't. As we are diving into this, and it looks like we may have even. Huh? Did you see that? Like, oh, wait, we're in game.
Okay, I'm at 305. You're at 305.
Yeah.
That's all good. I can tell you, we had a Reaper expand. It's fine. This is very, very normal looking game.
Shout out to
Reaper expand versus Twilight Council.
Yeah, shout out to the WCL admins. They knew that the early game wasn't too exciting, so they just skipped it. Yeah.
Well, this is actually where we should start the game, honestly.
But what about the bunker behind the mineral line, Poppy? What about the eBay block? What about
He didn't do it.
Okay. As you're saying, we did have relatively standard openers. Twilight Council here from Trigger. Hellion is going to dive in and wreak a little bit of havoc, get a full scout off as well. Shouldn't get too many probe kills as the probes go for a surrounder. They try to.
Yeah, a bit of Clem micro going on there, getting a lot out of that Hellion. At the same time, we do have a mine drop behind this, so extremely standard player. This is kind of the gold standard. We know Clem's a big Cure fan as well, so not surprised to see him whipping out that Reaper expand with the Hellion Scout. That's a Cure classic.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to just get scouting information early on, maybe get a little bit of extra damage done as well, but just keeping an eye on what the Protoss player is up to. Meanwhile, the drop is going to get scouted here by the Stalkers. Not going to be able to completely shut it down, but they do shoo it off here into the bottom left-hand corner of the map.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I don't see many people do this. I remember Zest used to do this quite a lot back in the day, but we don't see it that much anymore. The Stalker's out on the map hunting down the drop, and it's a really fantastic move if it does pay off, which it has here. I mean, he's completely shut this down.
Yeah, exactly. The medevac barely limping along would be very risky if he did try to commit into that drop. And with that, Trigger is going to be heading out across the map as well. Now with the map control, he has Blink, of course. We have 2 more gateways behind this as we have a second drop coming out.
Okay, very interesting. This is going to be very unexpected for Trigger. As far as he's concerned, he's cleaned up the drop, and he will still know that it's on that left side, so he's not going to be expecting this, and it's going to hit when he's microing his Stalkers too.
Oh god, and is there a reaction? The answer is no reaction whatsoever. The mine shots are going to be going off.
Boy.
12 probes go down at the same time. Trigger's across the map. The pressure is on him to get some damage done.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely perfect timing. Trigger is just not looking for that at all. It makes no sense for it to be there. I mean, it's one of the funny things about StarCraft as well is these pro gamers, they are so good, but sometimes they can make things look like magic just because there's only a certain subset of things that they face ordinarily.
Exactly, you know, they can sometimes have the attention span for things just because they have the foresight to know that it's coming, or they have like a mental checklist of different possibilities to keep an eye out for and to have the mental capacity for. And unfortunately, that just wasn't quite one of them for Trigger. It did get a lot of damage done, and as a result, Clem, he's got a pretty good start here into this game. Trigger behind this trying to just get his third base up and running as the Mind Drill comes back in.
Oh yeah, we don't see the blink there, so a little bit unfortunate. We do get the medevac out of there just as well. I mean, it's too low to be able to do too much, but I mean, Clem has pulled ahead quite convincingly with that.
Yeah, exactly. As he gets a Stalker, he gets a couple more probes as well. We do see Trigger trying to be active across the map, just trying to keep an eye on any kind of move out, but he doesn't really have the Stalker count to do too much to this army, especially with these Marauders just pushing away this force. Oh boy, and yeah, this is going to be quite hefty here. We have Stim, Combat Shields at +1, all on the horizon for Clem.
Yeah, massive army here for Clem. Meanwhile, behind this, Trigger getting into those Colossus quite early as well, which is definitely going to help him stabilize here, especially if he has 2 ready for the push. I do believe Clem made a Raven, and I don't think he harassed with it either, so it's going to mean that his first 2 medevacs are pretty heavily delayed, but he will have those disables available.
Yeah, I did see the Raven in the production tab earlier, so it must be definitely somewhere in the backline gathering energy as we speak. Meanwhile, we just see Trigger coming to the front lines. Oh, actually, it's going for a backstab instead. It's going for some Raven harass, auto harass even.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, there's no battery here at the natural, so why not? And this is going to be delayed. Clem going to be jumping on this army, but there are 2 Colossus, so he wisely chooses to back off here.
Yeah, exactly. 4 probes go down across the map, but not too much more damage this time. Trigger is paying attention to the mine drop. This time he is going to be able to avoid it for the most part, as it looks like the mines, they do unburrow. Trigger getting a pretty good fight across the map though.
Yeah, but Clem's just going to continue to back off. I mean, this is kind of one of the underrated things about Clem. We think of him as having very good micro, but... Oh, 14 more probes go down, and suddenly Trigger has to get some damage with this, and I just don't think he can.
It looks like Trigger, he went back to the mineral line after 1 mine shot went off. He thought it was safe, but no, it wasn't. The second mine does get triggered, and oh my god, the Widow Mine even does survive. Raven harass doesn't stop either. Trigger's economy is in shambles.
Clem is being so annoying with this, just flexing his speed, even hiding these mines off in the corner. It is just ridiculous how fast Clem is, and he is just pulling a Trigger apart at the seams. I mean, just about anyone would be here, and behind this as well, just macroing up very comfortably. I was beginning to talk about it. We think of Clem as like a very strong micro player, but he's often very patient as well. He doesn't force damage where it's not there, because it's just chipping away constantly. It's not that he has to get the damage all in one fell swoop. He's just constantly just putting himself further and further ahead and putting you further and further behind.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in a way, he's very meticulous with like when or where he commits. You know, he's very careful when it comes to saving his units as well, just so they can come back at another moment, at a better moment to clean things up. Trigger still has those Colossi, sure, but overall, like Clem has now taken a supply lead. He's going to be able to eventually overtake Trigger, and Trigger needs something to go his way, maybe even two things to go his way to really bounce back in this game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Trigger's doing a lot of good things here. He's clearing out the mines, fighting quite aggressively for this map control here, which is fantastic. On a map like this as well, I can see him stabilizing with the Colossus. We can see he's going into a pretty fast second robo before his 4th base here, which I think is to that end.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, he can start working towards disruptor production as we do see Clem looking for that observer, just barely does miss it, unfortunately, but we already have Ghosts on the way. We have plenty of Vikings. Like, I don't know if Trigger is actually going to be able to make use of those robos and if he can actually even get into those disruptors before the push.
It always trips me out when there's a scan directly on someone's own army, because I'm like, oh, the Protoss scanned him. Wait a minute. That's not right.
To be fair, I thought that immediately as well. My first thought was like, oh, he got scanned. Oh, wait.
Yeah, Trigger scanned his army.
He knows, Fabi. He knows. Oh, God. As we do see a bit of a Zealot run by here, does force a cancel on the 4th CC. Not too bad. The main army is pushing on forward, though. It has all been spotted. By Trigger is fully aware. He's pulling back. Oh, these shoot batteries, they still need a little bit more time to finish.
Yeah, a tiny bit more time, and that means that he's going to be able to pick away at these Colossus. The Nexus is not finished yet either, but Clem is being very patient with this. It is going to allow Trigger to get those Zealots back eventually, and we haven't seen any of the Colossus go down just yet, but that might start to change in a minute. Actually, Trigger's doing a fantastic job holding on.
Mate, that shield battery finished up just in time. It was crazy. As you were saying that, the Colossus barely did survive. Not a single unit went down. That was a very efficient trade from Trigger. And now the disruptors have arrived at the same time. The Auto Tartaras still does not stop. Clem just being so persistent and so annoying with that Raven.
Yeah, with the double turret, you can take out that shield battery as well, so he's going to start getting the damage here. But Trigger, I would say he's pretty much stabilized here, and this is where it can start to get really tough. I mean, a player like this going for double robo on this map, there's just not that much room to be able to maneuver. We saw it before with Clem vs Max Packs. I believe that was a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Where I was, I always forgot about that game. I'm like, I understand why you could not, as that was Max Packs with just mass disruptors, just constant novas, time and time again, bullying Clem back. We're not getting there yet, but we're working towards that with these disruptors. Nova goes off. Good split though, does avoid disaster.
Yeah, that game is genuinely upsetting, but here we go. So I'm going to be trying to take a bit of a fight here. Once again, just very cramped. I mean, it can be really hard to fight against Protoss on this map, so definitely getting a little bit unlucky with the map as well. But we see the Vikings staying back to attack. Clem doing such a good job making sure that they get all of their shots off, and nearly all of the Colossus go down, and that was a fantastic fight, despite Trigger also really controlling things well.
Yeah, Trigger did trade efficiently, but as you were saying, he lost 2 of his Colossi. I do think that maybe he overextended a little bit, especially trying to push up that ramp. That was when he started to drop off those Colossi one after the other, but we still have plenty of disruptors here available. Trigger, he can still take a fight. Clem must be very careful with how he engages.
Yeah, there's about to be a huge number of disruptors, and I'm a tiny bit concerned for Clem just because his lib transition is still a little ways off here.
Yeah, I mean, we have +1 ship weapons on the way, but as you're saying, still no Liberators. The Viking count almost reset as well. We still only have 1 Colossus, so not the biggest of deals, but of course Trigger can go back into Colossi production as he's trying to sneak out a 5th base as this fight goes on.
Yeah, I mean, Clem is just doing what he does, trying to apply huge amounts of pressure here. Making sure that Trigger doesn't really get a comfortable moment to macro up. He's constantly having to attend to his army.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the 5th base hasn't spotted. Clem is going to back off, rotate over, and contain Trigger here to these 4 bases. Trigger, he's going to take this opportunity, though. He knows his opponent is out of position. He's actually going across the map. He wants to try to deny some of the bases of Clem as well.
Yeah, I think this is a really good move specifically on this map, just because you can zone out like this, deterring from coming back up their own ramp to come and defend. And Clem's actually in a really tough spot now.
Clem, he lost, I want to say 3 or 4 ghosts there, but the surround could be real. Another Nova's going to be going off.
Yeah, Trigger's running low on Novas, and Clem's going to sense that. I mean, he has a really good idea for this, and there we go. He's going to be jumping on top of those. We have 1 more, and he doesn't see it. Huge Nova going off there, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough.
Oh my god, it's so close. There are only a couple of disruptors left. As you were saying, we are running out of Purification Novas. It looks like Clem is still taking a better fight overall. He's snowballing out of control. That's it. That's all the disruptors gone for Trigger.
Yeah, massive Nova landed on the army there as it did kind of get hidden by everything that was going on, but I think it's not quite going to be enough. Trigger is going to continue to push this back, but Clem is always happy to continue this dance.
Yeah, just like Chappie, he is willing to keep on pushing. He holds onto his base. Like I hear Chappie, and sorry, I hear Happy. I want to say Chappie. It's something that he lacks. As no. As we do see, yeah, Clem now looking to max out Trigger. He lost so much momentum in that push. There was a lot of potential with it. Don't get us wrong. Like initially, it was looking really good, and then Trigger committed, like pushing in between all three bases. The surround was insane, and yeah, he was in a really rough position from there.
Oh yeah, and now it's going to be on him to try to find his way back into this one. Clem splitting up his army now that he does have the supply advantage. A really good choice, and he's going to continue to make it difficult to take a 5th or 6th base. At the same time, we do have DT Bleak coming in for Trigger, so that could be one of his comeback potentials, is big DT run-bys if he ever gets the room to make those DTs.
Yeah, exactly. As Novas are going to be going off left and right here. Some decent connections here and there, but 2 disruptors do go down. The spread, the split is too damn good. Clem busting on through, focusing down another disruptor.
Yeah, Disruptor's exposed now. There's only 3 of them left, and with that, Clem is going to be able to deny this 5th base, and suddenly the Protoss is starting to starve out just a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Trigger, he desperately needs a 5th, and that was 2 kills, by the way, both bases. Neither one was able to be cancelled. We do see Trigger trying to set up a surround, though.
Oh my goodness, the split target fire taking out those Disruptors. Beautiful stuff from Clem. Oh, but he takes a massive Nova at the same time, and suddenly things swinging a little in Trigger's favor. I hope Clem does have some extra army back at home.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the supply of Clem are in these medevacs more than anything, so he has to be very careful not to take another Nova to the face. Trigger taking a good fight, but he still needs a 5th base sooner rather than later. There we go. He's going for that center base once again.
Yeah, Clem going to be sending those libs around the edge of the map, maybe getting a little extra harass, and it does feel like Trigger is starting to run out of steam. He's going to try to double expand, which I'm a huge fan of. I really like this because Clem probably only going to have time to deny one of these. And at the same time, just continuing to pump out those disruptors. So Trigger is going to be able to at least stay in this game, but Clem has a nice lead.
Yeah, and with that lead, he's got triple Liberator production. These Liberators are finally coming into play. You were talking about how they were a little bit late for Clem, but now that they are here, it's going to be difficult for Trigger to overcome them as we have Liberators harassing almost every single mineral line. The center base gets cancelled once again.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Stopping these bases from mining, especially when we don't have a 5th base up for Trigger. That is just devastating damage.
Yeah, it really is. And oh my god, another Nova is going to connect with the army of Clem, though.
Yeah, I mean, Trigger, he's making Clem bleed, that's for sure. He's making him smudge a little bit for sure. As all this is a tiny bit of an overextension almost from Clem, but I mean, Trigger just doesn't really have the economy to keep up right now.
Yeah, exactly. Goes for another big warping of Zealots. He's diving on forward. He's going to try and focus on every single one of these Liberators, but we are running out of Stalkers. It looks like we barely do have enough. Trigger cleans up the Liberation, the line of Libs.
Yeah, Zealot's going to be going down. Libs do go down as well. The last couple of Disruptors, Clem is trying to snipe them out, and there's really nothing much here.
Yeah, exactly. Trigger, he has run out of units, run out of steam, run out of money as well as he's being bullied back. We do have some DT harass across the map, but that is too little too late.
There was a ghost waiting for that DT. I don't even understand how that's possible.
His GG gets called, and Clem will take game number 1.
GG. Nice game from Clem, but considering the massive mine shots that he got,
yeah,
I'm feeling pretty good about Trigger in the second game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you're right, like, those mine shots were brutal. I want to say he killed like 26 probes in total. If you remember, there was the first mine shot, which was 12 workers, or I say first 2 mine shots, which were 12 probes, and then the second mine shot was 14 as well, so 26 in total, and then a couple more sprinkled in and there. And it was crazy, like how much damage he dealt, and very impressive that Trigger was able to bounce back from such an economic deficit.
Yeah, I mean, Trigger did a great job stabilizing, and there were points in that game where if he had landed maybe a second Nova on top of the one huge Nova that he got, he could have won that. I mean, he did a really good job there, and every time I see him, he's looking more and more like one of the best Protosses in the world right now.
Exactly. He's on the cusp. He's on the brink, and hopefully he is not too phased by that last game. I know there were definitely opportunities for him, and he looked a little bit frustrated as he was forced to tap out at the end of that game. But we'll see if he can bring it back here on his map of choice on Gressvan.
Yeah, okay, so Trigger wants a little bit more room to work once again, and this should be very interesting. I think we are going to be seeing, if Clem is not able to kill him early, a much more drawn-out late game.
Yeah, and I would almost want to say that even if Clem gets some good economic damage early on, we've seen it before by Trigger on Neo Humanity of all maps, I do think that he's going to have an even easier time on Gressvan bouncing back or stabilizing in a way, potentially as we do get ready to jump into this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Trigger can bring to the table here, to see if he can fight back against the monster that is Clem.
Yeah, I reckon we're going to be seeing something a little cheeky from Clem here as well. Gressvan lately, eBay blocks have been very popular. With Clem as well, I feel like Hellion drop is always a possibility, so maybe even both.
Oh, at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if Clem does send out that early SCV for that eBay block. And we'll see how Trigger responds to it. I have seen in the past, I don't know if this is still his mantra, but he is more than willing to take an unnatural natural here in PvT if he's forced into it. And doesn't want to kind of waste resources making a Zealot, even if he sees it early, or he sees the eBay early. But yeah, we'll see how he reacts if that is the case. And yeah, it's a pretty good game, not gonna lie. Game one, I loved it. It was good stuff.
I'm getting distracted by my ideas of so if you do make them get the unnatural natural, there is a trick you can do with the Hellion drop, where you show the medevac and you fly it towards the main, but the Hellions, they're not in the medevac. They're waiting at the third.
Oh, it's such a big brain, Papi. You don't put anything in it, Papi, and because they take the unnatural, they're out of position, Papi. They're out of position.
Yeah. Oh. Once I did that to someone, I'm not going to say who they are, but
I know who they are now.
I did this to someone and I flew the medevac into their main and they didn't into the medevac, and I was just like, God, I wish the Hellions were in the medevac. They just legit didn't see it.
That's great. That's hilarious. I love it.
Okay.
When the big brain, it's too big, Papi. It's yeah. We'll see if Trigger if that does happen, if Trigger is able to keep up, or if he doesn't keep up. But it's okay because there was never anything in it to begin with. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
If he's looking, Papi.
Yeah.
It's just like Terran brains. Nothing in there. Just pure violence. Kinetic energy.
Aye. How you been, Papi? How you been? You've been laddering a little bit more Terran recently. I've heard.
Yeah, a little bit more Terran. Actually, yeah, I haven't played Protoss in a little bit. I've been trying out some more different builds. Trying to play like a monkey and looking through some old builds, trying to find some inspiration.
Yeah, nice.
I've been looking at well, when I've been looking at these old builds, I've been looking at old maps. I actually missed the last map pool. It was a really pretty map pool.
Yeah. Bring it back. As we are getting into our next game, and in the top left-hand corner for Team Lakewood, the French Terran Clem.
And the bottom right-hand corner of the map for Basilisk, this is Trigger.
Which is the map you miss the most?
To play on or to look at?
To look at.
To look at, and it's funny because I didn't really play on it, Cosmic. I actually really like how Cosmic Sapphire looks.
Yeah, I don't think I played a single game on Cosmic. I'll be honest.
Hey, we played some customs on Cosmic at some point.
Yeah. No ladder games.
Yeah, I have fond memories of Tropical and Moondance.
Yeah.
I like the Lucas Stargazers too, but I hated playing on it.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. My mistake. I did play on Cosmic. Sorry, I didn't play on Stargazers. That's it.
Yeah. The Cosmic was it was a big map as well, but it was like the sandy one with the
Yeah.
kind of blue crystals on the edges of the map.
Yeah, for sure. I never played a map that I had like one ladder session on, like half a ladder session. Waterfall.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't really like Waterfall. I kind of think that was just a bad map, but we saw some good games on it.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely some banger games on all the maps, always, but not always amazing to play on. Let me tell you.
It's a Hellion drop. I caught it.
Let's go, Bobby. The SCV is going to be hugging the edge of the map for that proxy starport. We do have Factory on the way behind this. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, a massive shout out to the sponsors, to Doyu, Hypergriff, TGI Fridays, Taido, and Rio de Janeiro. Without all these lovely people, WTL wouldn't be here. Who's your favorite sponsor, Asher?
I was gonna ask you that. I like TGIF, but not because it sounds like food, just because I think gaming chairs are cool.
Okay.
I always, for some reason, I think I've talked about this before. Home Story Cup used to be sponsored by Need for Seat.
Yeah,
and I just thought Need for Seat was like the funniest thing ever, and I don't really know why. I think it's because it sounds like Need for Speed.
Yeah, it's Need for Speed. Yeah.
But it's still not funny. Like I don't know why I find that so funny.
It's great. I was gonna say I like Rio de Janeiro as the sponsor, and I don't know why, but whenever I think of it, I just think of Fast and the Furious.
Okay,
like my brain
set in Rio.
Yeah. Like my brain just thinks of like, you know, like the sandy like beaches on the horizon and like fast cars and Dominic Toretto.
Like, I don't know the name of the statue, but the statue of Jesus with like the outstretched arms.
Yeah, in Brazil.
in Rio. There's like the what's it called?
This is a statue in Brazil, right?
Yeah, in Rio. That's what I'm talking about. The one with Christ with outstretched arms.
Yeah.
Rio statue. Christ the Redeemer,
Yeah.
I'm imagining them like doing a race in front of that and like using it as an obstacle somehow. As oh my goodness, 18 probes going down. This is game-ending damage right here. As
this,
I'm imagining that, but like on gaming chairs. Like they're doing the race on gaming chairs. Just, like, really badly photoshopped.
Did you do that as a kid where you'd have races on like on office chairs?
I did office chair jousting once.
Let's go.
Yeah. I went to like some kind of youth group, which it was really fun, but I feel like that probably just doesn't exist anymore because liability.
True. Feels bad, man. Those back in the day when you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. And like people would just get hurt. You just You just live with it, man. You just go to school with a broken arm. It's fine.
Dust it off, mate, and just break their arm as well. You know. As you were saying, Trigger, he sustained quite a lot of damage by that Hellion drop. It got out of hand, it got out of control. Once again, Trigger is going to have to be playing from behind. And how's he going to be able to bounce back here? I mean, he's going to find a couple of SCVs here and there with these Stalkers, but he's going to need more than just this.
Yeah, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure you're looking for 8 or 9 probes. And that's even if you lose the medevac. So I'm pretty sure he got, 18 was it? So this should be game ending. He's doing a really fantastic job with just these few Stalkers, getting little bits of extra damage. I love that little hold position dance as well, just skirting the edge of the tank range, trying to find anything that he can here, but it's going to be extremely hard for him to have enough to hold this push.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's got 5 more gates. I believe 8 gates in total here for Trigger. Charge about to come in as well. Observer barely does get sniped by Clem, and once again, it's going to be an uphill battle for Trigger. Is he going to have enough zealots on the ground to deal with this push from Clem?
Clem's so sweaty. The drop, my goodness. As Clem is going to be dropping, splitting off one little drop here. I don't know if that's meant to be catching these Stalkers or if it's going towards the main. It looks like it is towards the main. Trigger might be able to notice that something's missing here, but this is just really smart from Clem, because it's very unlikely that there's going to be enough supply to split between two locations.
Exactly, and as you say that, we have the job slipping into the main base. Do we have the warpins available here to defend as finally the Marines do get revealed? They dive into the mineral line. Very late reaction at a trigger.
Yeah, no battery either, and at the same time we are going to be having, I believe, those tanks starting to siege up towards that third, and yeah, I mean, just have a look at how little there is. He has been able to find a little bit of a with these zealots, and as a result, he is going to be cleaning up these tanks. This is actually not a bad defense from a trigger. It's just, he is, you know, fighting an unfair battle here with all the damage that he took in the early game.
That's the thing. If it just wasn't for the drop play, he'd be able to keep up. Another 18 workers go down. The Marines in the main getting out of control. A drop up on the high ground on the third base as well, just raining down on those probes. GG gets called, and Clem will be taking the 2-0 over Trigger.
GG, and yeah, it was kind of the story of this matchup. If Clem had not gotten the kind of damage that he did, and I think Trigger would be, you know, even if not better, but he did.
There you go. It's all about that early game damage, whether it's with mine drops, whether it's with Hellion drops as well. Unfortunately, this series, Trigger just couldn't keep up, or he wasn't able to anticipate what was coming his way and prepare for it. And as a result, Clem fights back for his team, and we have a tied up 2-2 score.
Has anyone ever done an edit of Fast and Furious? Crazy Froggy in there. I think I wanted something here.
There you go. There you go. We need that. I'm still just loving. I don't know. Like I'm digging into the recesses of my mind, and I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure I do remember riding office chairs on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
How?
You just tie it to the end of a car, and you.
No.
Oh my god.
That's just guaranteed death. How do you stop? You don't. You hit the back of the car and you flip over it.
Mate, you stop with your hands, mate. What do you mean?
No shit.
You're not going full speed, of course. Jesus.
But you also can't go on the footpath because you just flip the chair. You
know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking. I'm thinking of like I almost said Fast and Furious, Back to the Future with Marty, like with his skateboard. We just need that, but office chairs. That's all we need. We need more flexible, more dynamic office chairs.
Like, you want to go 88 miles an hour on your office chair?
We're gonna go Back to the Future, mate. Let's go.
You go back somewhere. I mean, for all you know, you might have gone Back to the Future.
Oh god. I was also, when you were saying
the shortcut to not having a future.
Oh god. When you were talking about like envisioning like the Fast and Furious boys like racing with the statue, in my brain it was that scene from Batman and Robin where they're racing down the arm of a statue. So like they're like race off like the arms of Jesus.
Yeah. I can totally see it, yeah. It'd be like all 3D movie style where like they get to the end of the seat and they jump and then they fly off the chair and the chair flies into the screen and you see the TGIF logo like way out close in the middle of the screen and then they land back in it.
Really, why don't TGI Fridays sponsor Fast and the Furious? You know?
Why don't they get us to direct the next ad?
Well, it's too late. It's the last one, right? It's the final edition, right? It's over.
Of Fast and Furious?
Yeah. Isn't that called like Final Furious or something?
I mean, they'll just reboot it. They'll have Fast and Furious 1 next year.
As we have potentially our final series here, or maybe not, as we do have a ZVZ before us between Elazer and a Serral. If this does go 1-1, by the way, if we have a tied up score, then this will go to the ace match.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting ZVZ. We kind of talked about it before. Serral's weakest matchup is ZVZ. Elazer is quite strong in ZVZ as well. Is one of the rare Zergs that actually quite likes the matchup. So This could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because, of course, Serral does have his weakest matchup, and if he were to fall, a ZVZ would make sense. But just because he has a weak Z, or a quote-unquote weaker ZVZ doesn't mean he dies to every Zerg around. But Elazer, can he bring it here to Serral? If I recall correctly, he did perform well in Home Story Cup. I think he took down Lambo. As we are getting into this, in top left-hand corner, we have the Polish Zerg player for Team Liquid, Elazer.
And in the bottom right-hand corner of the map for Basilisk, this is Serral. Yeah, I mean, we say it's his weaker matchup, but for Serral, like, your weaker matchup means it's possible for you to lose.
Exactly. And something, you know what? That's all that Elazer needs. He just needs the possible to be possible here. And I do appreciate as well, Serral, a look that we don't see too often on WTL, but he's smudging.
The hood up.
Yeah. After Home Story Cup, I mean.
He had to travel. I mean, it's probably going to knock him out for about a year.
True. Aye. Oh boy, but we are of course featuring Darth Serral here today, and we'll see if he can, or we'll see what that does mean when it comes to his playstyle as well as we get into the ZVZ. So far, nothing too crazy. No early spawning pools, no early gases, no early shenanigans.
So you rode around in office chairs, but
Okay.
have you ever done the same thing but with shopping trolleys? I used to do that a lot.
You're crazy, pup. You're crazy.
Is that more? I guess it is a little bit more crazy. So we used to go to a pub every Tuesday in Box Hill that was right near the train station and near the shopping center. And when you have like suburbs that are near shopping centers, you just find shopping trolleys. Like, people just kind of like take them to their car, dump their trolley, dump their shopping, and then just like, I don't even know what they do. They just send it off into the sunset. And they're like, someone else can worry about that. But we used to, when we used to go to the park, like after the pub closed up. And so we'd ride trolleys to the park. And there was like a cricket pitch out in the middle of the park. So we'd play cricket by like putting one person at one end and the bowler at the other end. And the bowler would bowl a person in a shopping trolley.
What? Wait, so the ball was the trolley?
Yeah, the ball was the trolley.
Okay.
And there wasn't really like hitting it. It was just kind of, you just yeet the person and they fall out and hurt themselves. It was good fun.
Wait, I'm confused. So you got the bowler, right? Was there a batter? What did they have to do?
Yeah,
they had to knock the...
They just kind of knocked the trolley over, basically.
Okay.
They just like kick it away from themselves.
Okay, I see. I understand.
And one time, one of my friends was pushing this trolley around and there was like a pond nearby and he lost control of it and he just threw the trolley into the pond and it sunk.
Oh my god.
One less trolley in Box Hill.
Was there a person inside it?
No. All my friends are still here.
You're reminding me of a Yoda Slim story. As we get into this, I'll save that story until after this because Serral is being quite aggressive here. Overall, they were pretty standard openers. We had a Bailing Nest for both players. Third base is being thrown down on time as well, but Serral is being very active here with his initial lings. Is going to be vying for control. Bailings are going to be looking to waddle into that mineral line as well from the south. Are you thinking of trolleys? What are you thinking of? Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I'm back.
Okay. What happened, Bobby? What happened?
My internet likes to cut out for 10 seconds every night. It's really cool.
Like, I love it so much. I mean, after that, Serral, he does get a worker lead. He takes down 6 drones. They went down in the natural base where those Bailings were headed. So far, a pretty good start here for Serral behind this. We are all taking up. We didn't really get to talk too much about it, but Elazer, he does have his own tendencies here in this matchup. It's a little bit of a meme. He doesn't like upgrades. He doesn't need them. He doesn't want them.
Yeah, I can get behind this. I think if I played Zerg, this would be what I would want to do. But at the same time, Serral, we see him do it really often. As one of those Banes just spontaneously combusts down to the south. Looks like Serral did have something to do with that possibly, and even gets these extra Ling Scouts. I mean, we talk about it every time that we cast Serral, but he is just unrelenting when it comes to getting his scouting done.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like his scouting is so meticulous, so insane here in these EVCs, whether it's with Lings, whether it's with Overlords or even Overseers as well. He's just making sure that he's aware of the lair timing, no additional gas is being taken, no fast spire, like we have seen mutas sometimes catch Serral off guard. So again, getting eyes on any kind of potential muta plays is just paramount in ZVZ, and Serral opts to go for his own spire instead.
Okay, so spire coming up behind this, and I'm trying to remember exactly what Reynolds. I'm gonna have his explanation of ZBZ, but it's pretty much something along the lines of Z being safe enough to get into mutas.
Yeah, mutas are like a big part of ZVZ, because they can give you so much freedom and so much breathing room and so much control. There's just so much power in mutas, and kind of as you were alluding to as well, if it does get scattered by your opponent, then you can shut it down. You are quite vulnerable when you are taking up towards that. And we can see Elazer is also going for his own spire, but far later than that of Serral.
Yeah, Laser Spire is going to be on the way. Sometimes it's not a big deal if you're a little bit, because defensively you're going to have your mutas around the same time. But I think strategically it can be a little bit difficult just because you have to match what your opponent makes, and then you don't know if there's more coming.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how heavily your opponent's going to be committing into mutas or not. As the first 5 mutas are on the way for Serral, 5 mutas, of course, enough to one-shot workers. We have 2 Banelings rolling into the natural base, sorry, into the third. Oh, God!
It's Evo with his backpack. Kind of cool. Gonna learn so much today. I hope I get some sausages for breakfast when I get home, and then poof.
He gets hit by a trolley. He gets knocked down.
One of the older kids just throws a trolley at him. He's like, that's not cricket. And like all the English people, when it comes to cricket, he has a cry about it.
Oh my God.
It's a deep cut. I don't know if you've been following the Ashes.
I know the Ashes exists. It's like a it's like a competition between England and Australia, right? Every couple of years they come together.
Yeah.
For the Ashes.
It's cricket's a little bit weird, and like one of the biggest cricket matches of the year is like a show match basically between Australia and England.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's big controversy. Australia did something that wasn't very sporting, and in typical Australia fashion, we just say that the English are crying about it.
What happened? Do you know what happened? Can you say what happened? Can you say what they did?
Oh, yeah. So, I guess the mutas are just cleaning up Overlords now, so not too much going on at the moment. Yeah, so basically what happened is, I feel like this has been happening in cricket a lot in the last few years, but basically, when the ball is over, it's still kind of live for a moment until it's not, basically. So like the batter just like walked out of his crease because the bowl was finished, and then the wicket keeper or whatever like stumped him, even though he thought the ball was over. And it just like wasn't, so he got out. It was really weird.
Smurge.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Smurge, these 5 mutas are getting a lot of damage done, by the way. Now they are down to 4 mutas, but 10 drones do go down. You were talking about the later spire and how that can put Elazer in a really awkward position, but with that later spire, he opts to go for corruptors instead of mutas, just completely shut down the air control instead. But Serral, he still has a much larger ground army instead. And he's just diving on top of the forces of Elazer.
Confidence. Serral just runs straight on in there, I guess. So much has been spent on the Corruptors. Corruptors are very expensive, and I think that's why we don't see that this often. And Elazer with a run by as well. This is very interesting, but I think unfortunately, because such a bulk of his army was at home and he loses it all to Serral's massive army there, he is going to lose out on this one. So GG is called. Serral taking it, but kind of a weird game that we had there. You've got to tell me a little bit more about the Corruptors, because I've actually only ever seen you do it.
I barely do it. What are you talking about? GG, well played. Fun fact, this actually did occur last week as well. I believe it was a ZVZ WTL match between Dark and, oh god, who was it? Dark and a foreign Zerg player. It may have been Lambo. It may have been a ZVZ between Dark and Lambo.
Dark one, then.
He did. But yeah, Corruptors are really, they're an interesting unit in ZVZ because in a way you could argue that they don't have as much potential because sure, they can shoot down mutas, but what else can they do? Well, they can actually do a surprising amount of damage to buildings as well, to specifically hatcheries, because once you kill the mutas, typically there isn't a lot of anti-air. You have queens and that's it, and only a couple of queens as well. So Corruptors can do well for themselves, but they do have a massive deterrence or a massive weakness, and that is how supply inefficient, or how much supply they do take up. As we saw, as soon as the Corruptors hit the field, they cleaned up the mutas, but Serral had just such a massive ground army that did just snowball out of control. Thankfully, Serral only did make a handful of mutas, not too many.
Yeah, okay, so it definitely looks like Elazer overcommitting there. Just a little bit, but I kind of don't mind him, going for these slightly gambly plays where I think if Serral had been committing more to mutas, that could have gone extremely well for him.
100%. The more supply we have in mutas, the less we have on a ground army, the less potential Serral has to actually make that move happen. As we get into game number 2, and in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Polish Zerg player for Team Liquid, Elazer.
And in the top right-hand corner of the map for Basilisk, this is Serral. Before we get too into this as well, we had a little bit of a gift bomb. Onside Gaming.
Oh.
Gifting us 10 community subs.
Thank you so much, Onside. We always appreciate the support. Every now and then, the owner of Onside does drop by the channel and does give us some love and support. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much. As we are going to be getting into this, and we'll try to focus a little bit less on the stories that we have. But
No. The Yoda Slim story.
The Yoda Sim story. Okay, as we do have a hatch gas pool opening from both of our players.
Before we go into that, I just have to add as well. We may have left a trolley on top of a bus stop at some point.
On top of a bus stop.
Yeah, it seemed really funny at the time, and it seems pretty funny to me now.
You're an animal. You're actually an animal. Oh my god.
Yeah, go on.
So Yoda, he's told this story before, but it's been a couple of years, and I know we have a bunch of new viewers. Yoda, of course, he was a caster on the CranKy Ducklings. We used to cast the Latin American tournaments together, and he lives in Texas. Texas. He has a friend who owns a lot of he has a friend who owns a lot of land in Texas as well. Like he's got like a farm, and they got a lot of land to work with, and they go camping together. They pack up, they get a truck, they pack up a bunch of stuff, they get a bunch of drinks, they go camping in the land of his friend. And because they do manage to get quite drunk, they have a game that they play. And it's okay. So one person drives, the other person holds on to the top of the car.
Oh, God.
And we'll see how long they can hold on.
Wait, what?
As you drive off, and they take turns. And there was one time.
Take turns? I thought you could only play one round of that kind of game.
No, they're built different, Poppy. They're built different. I say on top of the car. I believe it's the hood of the car, not like on top of the roof. On the hood of the car.
Worse.
It's fine. You just strap in, Poppy. You strap in. And there was one time where the reason why this was brought up was because we were casting on Jagannatha. And Jagannatha, there are lily pads on Jagannatha. And in the land of his friend, there's a pond, there's a lake, I guess a pond, full of lily pads. And one time, they accidentally drove the car into the pond. And the guy that was on the hood flew into the pond itself. And that was Yoda. And Yoda had a traumatic experience because that's when he found out that lily pads are like vines under the water. They're like,
oh no,
they were holding him down. Yeah, and he was freaking out. He got out. He got out, thankfully. But he's terrified of lily pads now.
And the car?
They left it. I believe they pulled it out like the next week, but yeah, that car's been through a lot. That's the infamous truck of Yodelson, where he's got a lot of stories about his truck.
That, like, in my head, that just can't not be a Toyota.
100%.
As we see the Banelings headbutting, taking each other out, really nice both sides there, so not really going to be able to get too much done, as we do see Elazer going to be committing a little bit more heavily, while Serral tries to transition into roaches.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see if Elazer can do any counter damage. So far, he's been able to minimize his losses. He didn't lose any drones at his natural base. He's trying to apply pressure to this third. The first Baneling does go off. We have another 3 behind this. Looks like Serral should be able to hold on, but here we go. More Banelings arrive for Elazer.
Okay, and Serral trying to find a little bit of an angle on these. Despite that, it looks like the splash from his own Baneling is going to be doing the finishing blow there. His third does go down, but behind this, he is going into roaches, and Elazer is going to be a little bit more behind on that transition, but nice damage either way.
Yeah, exactly. Behind this, as you were saying, those roaches are on the way. So even though Elazer's in a rough position because he just lost the third base, he does have a stronger army. He does have a potent counterattack that is going to be coming the way of Elazer. We're going to have those roaches, Banelings to support as well. Elazer has to be very careful with how he controls his army.
Oh, yeah, we have those Banelings just dancing back and forth, threatening the Lings. Serral, both players just microing their hearts out here. It does feel like Elazer having a bit of a slight advantage. It looks like he might have lost an Overlord to a Queen at some point here, but oh, nice connection there. 1 Bane for 2. Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad here as Serral does rock up with his roaches. He's droning behind this, bear that in mind, so he's not all in by any means. He's just looking to deal some counter damage here. The Baneling's going to be zoning away the ground army of Elazer, but it looks like Serral is having a hard time getting on top of these queens as Elazer gets his own defensive roaches out.
Yeah, Elazer is going to be getting those roaches out just in time here, so Serral gets pushed back. All these roaches of Serral a little bit exposed as well. Forced back to try to defend them, and that means he has to take a slightly inefficient fight here, and Elazer with a lot of momentum on his side now.
Yeah, Elazer, he's got the higher roach count, he's got the higher bane count as well. Serral is in a lot of trouble. He poked the bear, and he wasn't able to get too much counter damage done. He traded a little bit efficiently with his Banelings, but outside of that, not too much, as Elazer has arrived. Can he break on through? The Banelings still just zoning away the Lings of Serral.
Yeah, beautiful attention to detail on both sides. Elazer's going to be pushing back these Lings, and Serral being really pushed to the brink here as Elazer is going to be sharking around for some damage with these roaches. Both players just everywhere all at once, and it looks like Serral is a good scout off at least with these last few Lings that go down, but he needs to hold on to this third.
Yeah, like Serral, he's still in a little bit of trouble, but thankfully Elazer does back off. He respects the positioning of Serral, and Serral is able to get away with retaking his third base, redroning as well. Looks like Serral was able to stabilize enough here, and yeah, he was in quite a lot of trouble earlier, but he's even able to go into a much faster lair.
Yeah, good little tech advantage there for Serral. Still waiting to see what he's going to be doing with it. He does get that roach speed going a little bit early. Looks like it's going to be a bit more of a commitment to the roach pressure this time around.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Elazer's taking all 6 of his gases. I'm having a hard time parsing there in the minimap, but with those gases, once his own lair finishes up, he could be looking to go towards something like a spire. Before that happens, the target firing here from Serral. He gets 3 more drones at the third.
Yeah, nice stuff. Gets an extra scout with that Overseer as well. So Serral always making time to get those extra little scouts, and with the amount of roach ravages, these Lings are starting to become obsolete for Elazer.
Yeah, they really are, as we're just committing to Roach v Roach here. I love it. Elazer even setting up a Dropper as well to try and sneak out across the map. We have Overlord speed on the horizon, so Dropper play is available here for Elazer. But for the most part, things are settling down at least a little bit. Both players are taking their 4th bases. Both players are just working on their upgrades as well.
Yeah, if that's going to be his way of getting rid of the Lings, I love that. Be a Baneling drop. I'm not sure if he intended to get that extra roach there. I suppose that if he has a bunch of drones on one Roach can clean those up. But yeah, we are going to be having a pretty creative play coming out from Elazer right now.
Yeah, I love it. As he's sending that across the map as we speak, we do see Serral just committing a little bit further. He's going to have a bit of a stronger +2 timing, as +2 is on the way. +1 isn't even done for Elazer, so quite a hefty upgrade lead in favor of Serral. Meanwhile, Lee's going for a counter. Failing doesn't quite get the best connection, but that was terrifying.
Yeah, very slightly late reaction from both players there. Averts disaster as we do have that drop a lot heading in. Elazer's going to want to make else happen on the map at the same time as well to try to make this work out, but no, it looks like Serral is in position.
Yeah, he sees it coming ahead of time. The Roaches have arrived. The split as well on these drones, and so far the Banelings have not been able to find too many connections. Elazer, he's just going to be going into the top right-hand corner of the map. He's just going to be waiting for a better moment as he pushes through with his main army. He does have a larger army, bear that in mind. He's the first player to max out, but Serral, can he keep up here with the movement? He's going to be able to get here on top of the ramp just in time and attempt to hold on.
Yeah, the Roach is going to be trying to push up through this ramp, but Serral has a nice concave, a lot of ramp files. Could get something done, but it seems like Elazer does have a tiny bit. Oh, he takes out that dropper lord, so great attention from Serral.
Yeah, exactly. And now Serral, he can bring down his reinforcements. That's why Serral's army was looking a little bit smaller, because he invested quite a lot in actually splitting off and defending his main base against that drop, and he's able to force Elazer back. Again, the upgrade advantage was in favor of Serral, and +2 is going to finish up now. Yeah,
Serral's +2 kicking in. Both players actually going for burrowing claws here, so this is going to get real spicy real quickly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The commitment into Roaches is real. No player has flinched. No one is going towards Aspire. No one's going towards Mutas just because of how in their face they are right now. And the dance of the Roaches does continue. So far, neither player has really been able to find a way in. You can see Serral maybe taking a bit of a better trade overall, again, just because of that upgrade lead.
I'm getting really distracted by this incredibly dumb idea that I have. I'll explain it to you later. But we do have those Roaches burrowing in all these different bases. Looks like Serral is really on top of it. My goodness, the split from Serral defensively. That was amazing.
Let's go. He sends Roaches to every single one of his bases, and that could mean that his main army is that much smaller here on the front lines, but no, he's able to keep up, he's able to minimize his losses. At the same time, he even counterattacks as well. Serral is all over the place.
That was so sick from Serral. Even splits off Overseers. That is incredible. I mean, it's one thing to be able to split aggressively, but being able to split defensively is actually a really difficult skill.
It really is. And Serral, he splits defensively and aggressively both at the same time, as he has Roaches the 4th and at the 3rd base of Elazer while he's defending all these bird Roaches, while he's keeping up with the main army movement of Elazer as well. And despite the aggression from Elazer, he comes out worse for wear.
Yeah, Elazer going to be clearing up that little bit of extra harass coming out from Serral as well, but Serral just continuing to spread those burrowed Roaches throughout the different bases. And yeah, both players just having a really tough time now trying to keep up with the aggression of both of each other. Serral even borrowing some of those drones, but Elazer has his own overseer here. This is a wild game.
God, it really is. And Serral, he does lose a couple of workers. He loses some mining time as well, but he's able to resaturate his 4th base. We can see the main armies clashing off of each other. Elazer finally going to be taking up. Same can be said for Serral. We have Hydrodens on the way, Infestation Pit as well. Depending on how this goes, we could end up going into that late game that you know and love, Asher.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to have a little bit of a stalemate between these two players. They're both basically trying to do the exact same things. They do have to find a way to split the difference here, as Elazer continuing to throw some drones in at that 4th, and it looks like Serral didn't quite catch that, so he's going to be...
Yeah, a lot of workers are going to be going down to 11. 14 drones fall here, as finally Elazer is able to snowball out of control with his split army. Pushes here, he takes down more than just a mineral line.
Yeah, pretty much both mineral lines going down. Elazer actually getting a huge amount of damage here, so I think Serral is going to have to go for a counterattack now.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a counter force across the map that is getting some counter damage done. He's forcing Elazer to turn back around with his main army. We have Roaches in the main base of Elazer. We have Roaches at the 3rd as well. And Serral wants to keep on pushing. As you were saying, the pressure is on him to do some damage.
Yeah, chaos absolutely everywhere. Serral borrowing some Roaches across the map, trying to a little bit of... to have those all borrowed there. Amazing bios. going to be landing big on the units of Elazer, and I think that's what Serral needed to swing this fight in his favor.
Yeah, exactly. As he does dive on top of this army, 18 drones go down for Elazer, as there are still roaches at the third base and the main base of Elazer. He just can't keep up with the multi-pronged aggression of Serral. He's like, mate, how about you deal with all of this? As GG gets called and Serral fights back, taking the series 2-0.
GG, just like that. What a hectic game between those two. That was a really fun one.
Yeah, that was so intense from both players. They're both so very active on the map, not just with their initial link bane, but even with the Roach Ravager towards the end as well. We got to see fights and action all over the place, and we almost saw Serral get broken there. We almost saw him stretched to the brink, but no, that just made him angry. That just made him turn those tables, and GG, congratulations to Serral and Team Basilisk for taking the series.
Yeah, GG's to team at Basilisk, taking a pretty crucial win there. And a shame for Liquid, they really need... they're still going to have chances down the line, as coming up we have Starving